we're just back up from Merseyside. A 1-0 defeat against Ivory Coast last night. I think you and I are very similar in terms of the opinion that people seem to be a wee bit knee-jerky about these friendlies. I thought the reaction to what I thought was, I don't think that was a terrible Scotland performance last night. Certainly not something that deserved for them to get booed. And that's another thing. I hope that this, because it feels a little bit frosty between Steve Clarke and the fans right now. That needs to sort itself. We need to kind of get that sort of feel-good factor behind us again to get the momentum to get us going into this World Cup.
No, it's incredible to think after that Denmark game in November, the way that panned out, with those goals and the drama at the end, you'd have thought there'd be not a shred of negativity going into this World Cup, given how Scotland got there. So it does feel a bit bizarre. I agree with you. Last night was strange. There was a bit of booing at half-time and then full-time. But by the time Scotland players left the pitch, they were getting a standing ovation, and the fans were chanting Scotland, Scotland.
But that was in the space. Honestly, for those that weren't there, in the space of 30 seconds, final whistle goes, boo, comes for the Tartan Army. Before they've even caught a next breath, they've actually started singing Scotland, Scotland. They're giving the players a standing ovation. It was schizophrenic behaviour. It
was almost like at full time, it was like autopilot. They thought, well, we need to boo because we've got beat. Do you know what I mean? And then, as you say, 30 seconds, a minute later, when they see the players actually in front of them applauding, they think, oh no, we're proud of them, but no, we suddenly remember they're going to a World Cup. Do you know what I mean? Like, half an hour. We sat last night, watched the Italy penalties. I mean, how do you think the Italians are feeling 3 World Cups in a row? They're not going.
I mean that's a shambles for them.
Honestly, we need to celebrate the fact that we're going.
Exactly. We were just going through some preparatory work last night. That's all that was. There were other countries getting told the world for you is over.
Yeah.
You know, the likes of who went out last night?
Denmark went out.
Denmark, right? And they've suffered. They suffered that night at Hampden. Yeah. Now a double crushing blow for them. They don't get to go at all. They were top seeds in that qualification group. That's hard. You think about what happened to Wales, to Northern Ireland, to the Republic of Ireland. As you said, Italy. We've got a lot. We shouldn't be tearing ourselves to shreds like this. I'm finding that strange.
I'm the same. And I agree with you. Last night, look, it was a 1-0 defeat. Ivory Coast were, I thought a really good team, a really good counter-attacking team. Strong, physical, powerful. As I say, good in the break. But I thought Scotland, there was a bit of positivity. After the weekend, I was on here calling for a bit more attacking intent, a bit more threat. I felt there was that last night.
We got that last night, Scott. We had more shots in the first 11 minutes last night than we had in the whole 90 against Japan.
First half, the intention was clear right for kick-off. We were going to play a high line. We were going to try and press them high, put them under pressure. Granted, if they get through our press, then we're up against it. We were putting bodies in the box. Again, you take that risk that if you lose it, you can get caught in the counter, and that happened once or twice. Not too many times, but once or twice. But that's what I was hoping for, just a wee bit more risk to try and create more chances. And I felt as if there was more of an attacking threat.
I agree. I don't know what these fans were watching last night. I was watching a different game. And I think Steve Clarke was quite right when he said that I think that the biggest negative for him from last night was we didn't respond well to losing that goal.
Yeah,
we lost. We stopped doing what we had been doing for about 20 minutes. It wasn't until about the last 10 minutes of the first half that we started to get back onto the front foot. I felt we had a real. I think we got a fright when we lost that goal.
And by the way, that's a starting 11 that you've still to add Hickey, McKenna, Ferguson, McGinn, Doak, Shankland, possibly all to add to that starting 11. So he had a look at a few things last night. He changed the system. Interesting 3-5-2.
Did you like that going back to the 5 at the back or the 3? I thought we looked quite comfortable at the back.
We did. I thought Kieran Tierney played really well last night. He was one of our better performers playing that left centre back role. I thought George Hurst gave us something a bit different up front. I thought he's looked quite good the last couple of games. It'll be interesting if Steve Clarke's thinking about that. For the World Cup, obviously you always need to have two or three systems. So it gave him a wee chance to experiment. Am I disappointed that we didn't see Lennon Miller or more of Finlay Curtis? 100%. I don't quite get why they didn't.
That was a strange one. I mean, when he took off Billy Gilmore and he sent on Kenny McLean, you're kind of thinking to yourself, what we're learning here. I would have liked to have seen Lennon Miller at least get some game time in the pitch at that point in time.
I think Lennon Miller must be carrying a knock or something, Jacko. There's no way you bring that boy over, surely. I mean, saying that, you could argue the same about Andy Irving. Andy Irving's playing, whatever you think,
right.
He's playing every week at Sparta Prague, and he didn't get a minute on the pitch either over the 2 games, which, as you say, I mean, you're guys like Lewis Ferguson, Kenny McLean, Lyndon Dykes, can I know what they can do? So that's a slight frustration, but I thought overall, no, two games against really good opposition. There was good points and bad points, but the most important thing, as you touched on, let's not get carried away. Let's not get too upset or too anxious, or just enjoy
these friendlies are there to do the final bit of tweaking and preparation, and we're lucky we're not involved in the do or die playoffs and all this just now. We've actually got these games just to look at some options to see what works, what doesn't work. I don't think it's time to press the panic button, Scott.
Definitely.